The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation, make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels, operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Idaho Falls, Idaho, on your new fire apparatus, job number 32992. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's first start down at the front bumper area. In the image, we'll start with the mechanical siren on the passenger side. Moving to the driver's side, you'll find your PA and electronic speaker. You also have an air horn located on the driver's side face of the bumper, in addition on the passenger side face. On the bumper extension, there is a side-facing emergency light. Moving directly to the center in the bumper extension, there is a tubbed storage location for your front hose lay. Moving up onto the body, you'll find your headlight structure composing of the low and high beam headlights. Low beam is on the outer edge, high on the inside. Moving up from that, you'll find the cluster of emergency warning lights and also turn indicator. You'll find 2 grab handles on the driver and passenger side with 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. Moving up onto the brow of the apparatus is where you'll find 5 running lights, and then further up you'll find a center-facing forward floodlight. Moving up from that onto the top of the vehicle, you'll find your emergency warning light. As we move back down onto the body, you'll find your mirror. There is a 2-portion mirror, the top portion and lower portion flat and convexed. Just beneath that, you're going to find on the side a marker turn indicator light. Let's take a look at the other side of the vehicle real quick. Same identifying factors. I would like to point out this is that air horn located on the passenger side, dual air horns. Moving to the side, you'll find grab handles in addition with a keyed door locks. Moving up from that location, you'll find a side-facing scene light and then also a tank fill indicator for visual identification of your tank. Here are some close-ups of those images that we just talked about. Headlight structure, emergency warning lights. Let's take a look at the front bumper. This is the bumper extension with the swivel 1.5-inch discharge located inside. We'll move all the way around to the side. This is going to be the driver's side. Just behind the front door, you'll find an additional access door. There is shore power access, in addition with LED lighting and adjustable shelving. Let's take a look at the pump panel area. We'll start in the upper left-hand corner with some safety things. First, this is an entanglement warning for your hose that comes above. There is also an information placard here regarding that only trained personnel should operate this vehicle only after using the owner's manual. Next to it, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll talk about that in the next few moments. To the right, you also have a fall injury warning, not to ride on the side of your apparatus. There's also a pressure warning hazard. This is indicating in case caps are pressurized, removing those caps under pressure. To the right, you'll find the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. And then just beneath that, you'll find a placard regarding your waterless pump, the GPM of your pump, and the type. Let's move back up to the top. You'll find 3 cross lays across the top. They are all color-coded and individually labeled. As we move to the right into the gray area, you'll find the master intake and then the master discharge. Just beneath that, you'll find 2 test ports. These are vacuum and pressure test ports, and they are currently plugged. Let's move to the left down to the levers. These are going to be your discharges. They are individually marked and also color-coded. As we move just up from this location, this black module, this is going to be your panel heater. Moving further to the right in the red, this is your foam system. We'll talk about that in a few minutes also with some close-up images of that. And as we move to the right, you'll find your Pierce throttle pressure governor. This is the module that will control all of your pressure and also throttle. Further to the right, you'll find a set of switches. Just beneath that, you'll find this blue LED indicator. This is going to be a pump water tank indicator from refill, quarter, half, 3/4 to full. To the right, you'll find the primer, and then just beneath that, you'll find 2.5-inch discharge. Next to it, you'll find your master intake where the American flag Eagle Pierce logo is. Down at the very bottom, you'll find all your associated discharge drains. Moving further to right, directly in the center is where you're going to find your 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet.
You're also going to find on the far right hand side this lever, which is your pump shift. We'll talk a little bit about some of these items in the next set of images. First, let's start up here with your panel gauge heater. It is automatic. You can see it has a cold sensor down at the very bottom. As we move to the red system, this is your foam system here, a red placard area. This is your foam system. It's a Foam Pro 1600, and the specifications on your left. You do have this module, which is your operating instructions, and then also an indicator for your foam tank level. Let's move further to the right. This is your throttle pressure governor from Pierce. As you do note, there is a warning label here not to open the throttle unless you have the green light indicating that it is on. Moving down, you'll find an audible alarm. The outer edge of the bezel does allow you to dampen that sound. To the right, you'll find your rear floodlight. You do have an evacuation horn, which will sound your air horns. Moving further down from that, you'll find the compartment heater. That is for your pump. And then further down, you'll find the reel rewind. Just beneath that, you'll find 2 future switch locations if necessary. Let's move all the way down to the very bottom is where you'll find your recirculating line. This is a twist, not a pull. Moving further over to the right is where you'll find your tank fill. And then moving all the way to the far right, 2 sets of switches that are separate from that main set of switches. This is going to be your panel lights. And then just beneath that, this is your pump engaged. This is required for you to have any type of water flow out of your pump. This light be illuminated. This is an indicator. As we move to your minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi, GPM on the left-hand side and RPMs are on the right. Job number in the upper left-hand corner, and your vehicle has a governed speed of 2,395 RPMs. Let's now move down to the right-hand side. Once again, this is that recirculating line, twist, not a pull. As we move further down, you'll find the engine cooler, same thing, twist, not a pull. And then as we move to the right, let's move all the way down. You'll find this warning label. I'd just like to highlight this. Pressurized caps, be cautious when removing those caps. To the right, you'll find your water tank level indicator, also on the side of the vehicle in an LED light. And then further to the right, you'll find your primer for your fire pump. There is a informational sticker just beneath that requiring 1,000 RPMs. Back up to the top, we have your tank fill and then also the tank to pump. Let's take a couple close-ups here of some of those images as we work through. This is the lower section here, all of your associated drains, color-coded and also labeled. Let's go ahead and move now to the right-hand side. You'll find 4 fold-down steps. This is for gaining access in the dunnage area. And then we'll move to the next compartment back. I'd like to point out in the upper left-hand corner of this compartment is where you'll find 3 items. First of all, this is the auto charger to maintain your batteries. When plugged into shore power, this will activate. You also have on the left-hand side your air compressor. When plugged into shore power, this is to maintain air pressure or top off air pressure for your vehicle. As we move to the compartments, bottle storage locations with straps for bottle safety. As we move to the next compartment back, you'll find your ultra low sulfur diesel fill. It's the silver cap. As we move that lever down, you'll find your blue cap, which is your DEF tank, 4.5 US gallons. This is the first compartment we just mentioned, which is going to be your bottle storage. Moving to the right, you'll find just over the rear wheel an emergency warning light side facing, and then the small longer compartment on the right. This is where your DEF and your fuel location is. Back up to the top, you can see you have a pegboard storage location. As we move around to the very back compartment, adjustable shelving and LED lighting. Quick image of the rear of the apparatus. We'll now break down some of the items within this area. First, starting at the very top with a 2.5-inch discharge. Just beneath that, you'll find a 2.5-inch tank fill. This is a direct tank fill into your tank itself. As we move to the right, we'll find some warning labels, pressurized caps, fall hazard, and also not to ride on the side of the vehicle. Let's move to the center of this location. You'll find your reverse camera or backup camera, and then just beneath that, you'll find an entanglement hazard regarding all of those hoses coming off above the area. That's why this placard is located here. Let's move to the right where you'll find your ladder storage location. The upper portion is going to be for long tool storage. And then to the right, you have a 10-foot folding ladder. Moving down from that, a 24-foot extension ladder, and then a 14-foot roof ladder. As we look to the rear, you also have 2 pull lights. These are the release mechanisms to allow you to raise and lock those lights into position. On the left, you'll find 2 steps that you can see here and a third just slightly above that. There are 2 rear-facing emergency warning lights. And then as we move further down, you'll find your brake, turn, and reverse lights. These are the clusters on the right and left. Back to the center roll-up compartment, you'll find a pull-out shelf. The release mechanism is on the right. Also, as we move around to the passenger side of the vehicle, rear release for that shelf, and then once again, bottle storage and retaining straps. Same configuration for the most part as the other side, additional bottle storage and also retaining straps. As we look to that image at the very top, you'll find this compartment which houses your tool board. The D handle is the release to allow the tool board to open outward. Once it's locked into position, there is a lock mechanism on the hinge side. I would like to point out at the very bottom of this image, this warning label regarding extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures, and be cautious where you park your vehicle. Let's move back down to these warning labels on the pump panel. Once again, entanglement hazard because of those hoses coming off above. There's also an additional warning label here, not to ride, once again on the side of the apparatus while it's in motion, and then pressurized cap warning. Let's identify some of the items here. First, there are 3 access doors here for gaining access behind the pump. As we move down from this location, we'll identify the large diameter pump intake. That is the Pierce American Flag Eagle logo. To the right, you'll find 2 2.5-inch discharges. Moving down from that location, you'll find your 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet. Further to the right is where you'll find the associated labeled and color-coded drains for each of those. Let's move just inside one of those access doors. On the left-hand side is where you're going to find the foam drain. This is a twist, not a pull. Back up to the top, you find your 3 crosslays. Just inside one of those access panels is where you're going to find your cab lift. There is a caution label here and also a danger label. Please read those prior to use. And then to the right, you'll find your cab lifting operation instructions to raise or to lower. You do have a protected raise lower switch, and then also to the far right, an activate switch. Here are some close-ups of those images that we just talked about. First, starting with the 2.5-inch auxiliary foam inlet. Moving down to the very bottom, you're going to find your discharge drains, color-coded and also labeled. Let's move back up to the top of the vehicle. This is the storage location for your large diameter suction hose. Moving now to the foam fill location. There is a warning label here not to mix brands, consistencies, or types of foam for foam failure hazard. You also have your water tank, 750 gallons, you can clearly marked. Moving now, there is a covered hose bed storage location, grab handles, and also tensioning release mechanisms. To the center, you'll find your large diameter master stream. It does have an extending nozzle. As your booster line in the upper right hand corner, you'll find the mechanism here for a manual rewind. And then as we move to the front cab, you'll find these warning labels not to walk in this area. It is not subject to personnel for walking in that space for safety. As we move to the side, you're going to find these warning labels at all points of entry. You're also going to find grab handles. This is a red grab handle here at the hinge side to assist firefighters in and out of the cab, and also a rigid handle on the door itself. Let's take a look through some of those images as we move through. First, a general view inside the cab. You can see 2 center-mounted seats forward facing. As we move to the front-facing area, these are the 2 rear-facing cabinets on the passenger and driver side. Each passenger and driver side do have shore power outlets inside. General view here from the rear looking forward. The arrows indicating the location for your daily checks for oil and transmission. There is also a light inside this compartment. As we move to the front, you can see the roll-up doors on the left and right side, and also document storage locations and shelving and LED lighting within inside. Looking overhead in the compartment, you're going to find push on and off red or white lights. As we move to the back wall, you'll find your headset system. This is for your intercom plug-in. And let's move now to the driver's area. you'll find once again warning labels here at all points of entry. This is also the location for filling your windshield wiper. And then there's also a release lock mechanism on the grab handle here on the right hand side of your door release. There are 2 foot pedals on the floor of the officer side. First, the right side mechanical siren foot pedal. On the left is going to be your air horn foot pedal. Underneath the seat, you're going to find additional storage. This is the release mechanism here on this paddle release. And we have an image here with that compartment open. Let's now move up to the dash itself. We'll find at the top, you'll find 3 barrel style 12-volt access points. As we move overhead of the officer seat, you'll find your FireComm system, and then just underneath that you'll find the FireComm wireless system. Moving slightly to the left in the center, you'll find 2 fans, and then directly in the center of the cab on the roof area you'll find this puck style light. This is going to be an informational light that you have a compartment open or a door open and not to move your vehicle. Located in the center, you'll find your Siren PA control system. Moving now to the driver's seat, you'll find on, once again, points of entry, the set of warning labels. You're also going to find a lower section set of warning labels here. And what I'd like to point out is just to the right is this yellow label. We'll talk a little bit about that in the next set of images. Your seat belts are red in color by design for individuals to identify that people are belted. In the step area, you'll find the air shutoff location, and then you'll find your air inlet outlet. And then in the upper right-hand corner here of this same area, you're going to find the auto eject. This is when plugged into shore power. This is a 20 amp eject plug. When plugged into shore power, this will activate, which is your auto charging system, indicating the charge capacity. And to the right, you'll find your manufactured by Pierce for the city of Idaho Falls. It has the job number, gross vehicle weight rating, tire cold inflation, VIN number, and fluid capacities. On the floorboard, you're going to find your mechanical siren foot pedal. Let's move back to the door itself, where you'll find your electric windows for the front and rear, grab handle, and also the lock and release mechanism latch. Down about the left knee, you're going to find your master battery switch. To the right, you'll find your engine, transmission, ABS, and J1939 diagnostic port. Just beneath that, you're going to find ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit. Let's move now to the right-hand side of the steering column, where you'll find your pump shift. This is the instructions here for road to pump, and then on the far right, you'll find instructions from pump to road. For pumping operations, you do require at least 2 green lights indicating before you exit the cab. Let's move up from this location slightly to the left. You'll find the ignition and start switch. Further to the right, you'll find a small EM switch, which stands for Emergency Master. That controls all of your emergency lights. To the right, you'll find your running lights and parking light, and then further to, your driving lights. And then further to the right, you'll find your panel rocker switch, which is allowed to brighten or dim the panel lights. As we look to the panel let's look on the left-hand side with the transmission, oil, DEF level, and water temp. The 2 gauges in the center are tachometer and speedometer. To the right, you'll find the volts, fuel, front and rear air, and informational diagnostic indicators above and below the speedometer. Let's move down to the center console, where you'll find at the very top, this is your monitoring system for your backup camera. As we move further down, you'll find your brake system. This is pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. To the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad. Got a few close-ups here of the center console. Let's start first on the left with your flat mirror and also 12-volt access. As we move to the far right-hand side, you're going to find your windshield wiper, push to apply fluid, and turn right and left for on and off. As we move to the switches, we're going to find the engine brake on and off, engine brake settings for low, medium, and high, a switch for your air horn or electric horn, mirror heat, load manager, and then the red is going to be your siren brake switch. Moving just to the right of this location, we're going to find your climate control, defrost, heat, and also AC. There is also an indication just beneath this to disengage your retarder when on vehicles on wet or slippery surfaces. Let's move overhead, left-hand side of the vehicle. This is your height, 9 feet 5 inches, your length 32 feet 2.5 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating of 45,000 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle, please revise this placard. Moving slightly to the right of this location, you'll find a set of switches, first starting with the emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. All of these switches do have indicator lights. When they are engaged in the on position, the light will illuminate within the switch. To the right, you're going to find your high beam flash. You have two future switch locations, front flood, driver's side flood, and passenger side flood. Moving further to the right, a couple more items I'd like to point out. First is your seatbelt information. This is a seatbelt monitoring system indicating green, someone is in the seat and belted, red indicating that they are not belted, but they are in the seat. Let's take a quick look at the back of the vehicle here from the front. This is the two center seats for SCBAs, and then you can see on the passenger side a drop down or fold down seat on the left hand side. Congratulations, Idaho Falls, Idaho, on your new fire apparatus, job number 32992. If you have any questions as to the content of this video or any future questions, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.